What's going on, folks, and welcome to Stu's Garage. So the LS is in, the car is running, or was running for a little while. Turns out the LS makes too much power. So last night, making a test pull, I exploded one of my axles. So for those of y'all who don't know, this is an IRS car. I'm running an IRS out of an 04 Cobra independent rear suspension. Instead of having the one long axle like a lot of Fox bodies have, this has basically independent control arms in the rear and two half shafts with CV joints and things like that. So not really going to focus on doing a DIY. I have a lot of information about my IRS swap, which I'll post below. Really what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and pull out the axle. As of right now, I don't have the actual replacement part, but I will by the end of the video, so you'll see me put that back in. Maybe we'll go for a test drive. But I am going to take this as an opportunity to take another look at my dual caliper setup, which has been working out awesome for me. I just never really wanted to get in here and take this stuff back apart again. Again, shout out to Thomas Miata. Put a link to his channel. He helped me develop these things. So I think what I'm going to do is actually take this stuff apart, take a look at it, take some good measurements, 3D model it, and try to actually put these things into production. We'll see what that can take, what that's going to take, but it's something that I've really that's something I've really been wanting to do since there's nothing like this on the market. This is a bolt-on dual caliper kit for independent rear suspension, and a lot of people out there want this. Without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and finish taking all this stuff apart, get the hub off, out of the way, and we're going to pull out this busted axle and see what kind of damage we did to it. Alright, we've got everything taken apart. There's the hub and the dual caliper bracket that we're going to be working on later. And here's the axle. And when I talked to Steve Mass yesterday, he said his actually failed in the same position. So I guess that's a common mode of failure for these IRS cars, even though there's probably only a handful of them out there, like less than a handful. Mine and one other one is the only one that I know of. But we're gonna cut this thing open and see how ugly it is in there. Alright, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to look inside of there and see the carnage. This did fall out of it, and you can't even tell what this is, but if you look in there, or if I look in there, I can actually see some of the broken parts. But yeah, you can't see, so I guess that's all we have to look at. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and set this off to the side. I do still need this because I remember when I welded the diff, because we welded and plated it, I had to make these notches in the end of the axle. So I'm just going to keep this around for reference. When the new axle comes in, I'm basically just going to measure that and try to duplicate the same thing. Alright, so we got this thing open. As you can see, there is you know, these bearings in there, and these bearings kind of sit in these grooves. This is a CV joint. It's similar to a U-joint, but not quite the same. I don't really know enough about them to really tell you about the differences, but they are not the same thing. So I guess the part that failed is whatever this kind of retainer thing is here. There's bits and pieces of it everywhere. There's this part here. There's this part here. There's the part that I showed you earlier. So this thing basically exploded. So yeah, that's what that looks like now. I have a mess to clean up. Next up, I found my old steering wheel bezel, and I kind of mocked it up inside the car, and this is actually going to look really good in there, but I have to do some cutting to it. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing some chopping on that thing, and we're going to go ahead and throw that in the car, and it's going to look really good. Alright folks, check it out. A little quick chop with the grinder, and now I've got a bezel around my steering wheel, and I ended up chopping off a little bit more than I expected, but it fits in there really nice, and it doesn't look so incomplete there. And we can take the steering wheel, slap that on like so, and there is the finished product. Little things in life, folks. Alright, next up on the agenda, we are going to be replacing the rockers. I went ahead and bought new rockers. These are the ones with the upgraded trunnion bearings, the captured trunnion bearings already installed. They have these C-clips on the side that hold the bearings inside in case these things suffer a failure, and they won't send bearings through your motor. If you guys can remember back when I first put my first LS engine together, I did that upgrade, but in the process I actually messed up a couple of the rockers. It's kind of a touchy process. It's simple if you get it right, but you can also mess it up. So I messed up a couple of them. They're showing some signs of premature wear, so I figured I would just go through, you know, rather than wait for the thing to break, I'll just go ahead and slap new ones in there that are already done up, and now I won't have to worry about that anymore. Alright, so here we are under the valve cover. Those are the rockers, and it's a pretty simple operation to get those out. Just buzz them out by that screw and retorque them back to the proper spec. And conveniently, I have not retorqued the head studs since I've put this thing together. It's been through a few heat cycles, so this will give me an opportunity to do that as well. Alright folks, the new axle is here, as you can see, and what we're going to do is we're going to notch the end of the axle just like you see what's done here, because on the inside of the diff, actually you should actually be able to see it. This is a plated and welded diff. It's a fairly unique setup just because it's not very common on this car. So on a solid axle you won't really have these issues, but I don't know, if you look way up there you really can't see it, but right inside that hole is where the plates kind of come together, and it doesn't actually give that axle enough space to go all the way in. So we have to notch it so that it slides in between the plates, and we actually have to index it correctly so that it actually fits in there. So we're gonna go ahead and do that and get this thing in here so we can get the car back on the road. Alright, we've got it notched and we got everything lubed up, so hopefully everything goes in smoothly. Hopefully it's the correct splines. It looked like it's the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw that inside the car now. Yeah. Alright, the axle is back in. Basically all you have to do is just slide it in. It's got a little snap ring on the end that retains it, so it's not going to fall out because the hub goes on this side anyways and it holds everything together. So all we've got left at this point is to finish putting the rear hub assembly back together, and yep, let's go ahead and get that done. finally got the hub assembly all put back together. Brakes are on, everything. All I got to do is throw the wheel on. We can fire this bad boy up and take a ride. Folks, so we made it to the car show, and the car is running pretty good right now, and that's pretty much it for this update video. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.